Hey there, my name is Amanda. I'm happy to be here today. I'm part of the TELUS Wise team. TELUS Wise is one of our social responsibility programs on keeping and empowering Canadians to stay safe in our digital world. Today, I'm going to take you through TELUS Wise Happiness. This was inspired by the most popular course at Yale University, which is the science of well-being. And we do have Dr. Laurie Santos' blessing. I'm not a psychologist, but we had her review it and provide inputs, as well as um, Joe Flanders from McGill University, a mindful expert. So what we're going to talk about today is building and maintaining a healthy relationship with technology in our ever-connected world. When we think about what we do online, think about it as your digital diet. There's things that we do online that make us feel good and energized. We consider those nourishing. And then there's things that we do online that make us feel down or drained or really not good about ourselves, right? And they could be depleting. So if I think of something that's nourishing for me, it may be having a FaceTime call with a friend in the United States that I haven't been able to see face to face in quite a while. And if I think of depleting activities, drains you, makes you feel down, sometimes scrolling through social media, you're always comparing yourselves to there's unrealistic expectations. So think about that and kind of identify what's nourishing for you and depleting, because that's really important. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Before we get into that, we'll talk about excessive digital use. So the key to digital media use and happiness is limited use. The sweet spot's really no more than 2 hours a day, because that's when you'll start to feel some of the negative impacts of going online. But also realize that not all screen time's created equal. So we want to keep that in mind as well. We're thinking of like mindlessly scrolling through things, getting lost, and not feeling good afterwards, because where did that time go? To kick it off, we'll have a few tips throughout. One thing to help you manage your screen time is to limit your daily screen time. Kind of set a goal of, what you want to limit it to, and prioritize nourishing activities. So do the things that make you feel good. Myself, I just follow random puppies on Instagram. So when I'm scrolling through, at least something will, brighten up my day. The other thing is to be intentional about your device use. There's so many times I will pick up my phone to do something and I get totally lost. I went online my intentions were to do some online banking, but then I end up, checking email, checking Instagram, checking Facebook. So another tip to be intentional about it is you could put an elastic band over your phone so that when you pick it up, you're like, why is this band over my phone? Well, it's to remind me that I need to be intentional about how I'm going to use my device today. Also, you can refrain from screen use at least 30 to 60 minutes before bed. The lights on our phone, they have our brain racing, and it takes longer to fall asleep and to get into a deep sleep. Some of your phones, mine, for example, I have a bedtime reminder that goes off 30 minutes before I typically go to bed. So I find that very helpful. So we'll give you little tips that you can try as you go throughout. Some of the nourishing effects of technology is making us feel connected, right? We can connect with more people than we could if we were face to face. We can help make others feel supported and loved. We have those healthy relationships. We may learn new things. Perhaps we are learning how to paint a picture, or we want to redo our bathroom, or we could be inspired, just creativity. And then also being online can have we have a sense of belonging and a sense of community. When we think of the depleting effects, so doing those things that don't make us feel so good, we may feel like we're missing out. We call it fear of missing out, so FOMO, or we may be comparing ourselves to others constantly. And there might be higher levels of stress and anxiety. It could be an ability to think creatively or focus. We have reduced empathy towards others, and it can also lead to social isolation. We know there was a recent study connection survey done by the Genwell Project, and we know that Gen Z report the highest rates of loneliness at 66%. Sometimes it's easy to get lost as a teen in your room, stuck on your phone, and even for us as adults as well. Sometimes I don't like the way that, I've wasted so much time on my device. When it comes to social media and its impacts on mental health, there's certain things that we need to take into consideration. Certain apps, they do have positive aspects and they do have negative. So if we look at YouTube, for example, out of all of the social media apps, it is ranked the first most positive, because a lot of people are able to express themselves, reach out to others, educate themselves. But when we get to Instagram, especially in young women, self-esteem issues, unrealistic body expectations, cyberbullying, peer pressure. And also there was some recent news, there was a whistleblower on Facebook where the research shows that Facebook was aware that Instagram does have negative impacts on young people, especially young girls. This is a UK study that was done. TikTok's not on there, although it is one of the better known apps nowadays. It wasn't part of the study. I think this was done in 2017, but just very interesting of the negative and the positive angles that you see when using these type of social media apps. On the screen, we have a little slide or a little quote from an anonymous 16-year-old that from our focus group. Basically, when you're online, you start doing things that are dishonest. You're presenting a version of yourself where most people were presenting dishonest versions of themselves. Think of the last time you posted a picture. Do you post that picture when, your dog has your socks on the floor or you've got a messy background? Probably not. When we're posting online, we're usually spending a lot of time thinking about it and how will we be perceived? When we talk about how connected are we, 3 in 4 Canadians spend at least 3 to 4 hours online each day. 3 in 4 use the internet while watching TV, and 1 in 5 don't go 8 hours without going online. 1 in 5 don't go more than 8 hours without going online. And 46% of people use their phone while they're in the washroom, right? And the recent research that we've done with some parent groups is that generally, outside of school, some teens are spending 4 to 5 hours a day on social media. And over on the right-hand side, you'll see what happens in 1 internet minute. So this is based on 2020 data. We know that in 1 minute, 764,000 hours are watched of Netflix, or 694 scrolls through Instagram. And we use this chart year over year. Twitter looked like it was dying, and then all of a sudden in 2020, it just spiked again at 194,000 tweets. So technology, so we are digitally connected and it can have a significant impact on us. It can impact our sleep. I mentioned earlier the lights, it affects the way that we fall asleep and how deep a sleep we go into. It can affect our relationships as well. It always fascinates me when I see a group of young teenagers and they're all staring at their phone. They're not even talking to each other, right? And because we can connect online, sometimes we forget to get together, face to face. It can also impact our physical well-being. If we're stuck behind a screen all day, like hunched over, it can have some negative effects. And then also, it can affect our mood and confidence, especially when we're comparing ourselves to other or trying to measure up. And when we talk about building relationships, we'll give you some tips. Use built-in features. So turn off notifications and use do not disturb. Whether you're studying, sleeping, or connecting face to face, if you're in person with someone, you want to respect the fact that you're with that person. And you can use those features to prevent being interrupted. Also, you can place time-consuming apps in a folder. So if there are certain apps that are they catch your eye and you find that you go down a rabbit hole, like Candy Crush for me is one of those. I pick it up and then an hour goes by, but what I do now is I have a folder where I put games or apps that aren't necessary and I put them in a folder. So again, being intentional and going to that folder, out of sight, out of mind. And then also you can use grayscale to limit the temptation. So when we have those social media apps on our devices, they're bright and colorful for a particular reason, and that's to draw our attention to them. So you can usually go into the accessibility section of your device and change your device to grayscale so that the colors aren't motivating you to pick that up. And then we're going to talk about a trick of the mind. And this is one of Dr. Laurie Santos's tips. We're constantly judging ourselves against a reference point, a standard we compare to. We may not think that we're judgmental, but we're always judging people, whether we intend to or not. Secretly, we're doing that. And, we were designed that way. When we, back in the olden days when we were part of tribes, you compared yourself to kind of see where you fit into that tribe, right? Who's the leader of the group? Who's the hunter? Who's taking care of that? Who's the educator? So everybody kind of has a ranking there. Or you may see someone, that always shows up for class late or work, where it might be like, oh, they're always late, but we don't know. Maybe, their child was sick or there's really bad traffic, but we may make assumptions, especially if it happens over and over again. So our minds don't think in terms of absolutes. And, comparison is the death of joy. If we're always trying to measure up, we're not really truly going to be satisfied and have a good time. If any of you have ever been to the Eiffel Tower, this is a great shot. But if you've been there, you know that that's not what it really looks like. This would be a more realistic picture of the Eiffel Tower. But, with, a selfie cam, a certain angle, you can make things look better than they actually are. And then perhaps you like to go skiing, right? Wouldn't this be a great shot to put on Instagram, dusting some powder? But realistically, this might be how I look like, right? But I wouldn't post that on Instagram. I would definitely post that picture there. So just something to keep in mind. I'm going to flip over to a video as well, and this really drives the point home of some of the things that we do online and how we compare ourselves to others. I'm just going to exit for a second, and I will play that video. Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Kind of drives the point home about, how we present ourselves a little bit differently online. And one thing to remember, though, that gratitude is the killer of envy. If we can find that time to find something that we're grateful for, yeah, I will post the link of the video when I play the next video. Actually, give me 1 second because I do have it here. There you go. Perfect. Going back to the presentation. Gratitude's the killer of envy. Think of things, in life that don't cost anything, but really make you feel good. For example, for me, it is, sorry, I posted it I've got to post it to everybody. 1 second. There we go. Now I posted it for the group. Um, I sent it as a direct message, Christina. Perfect. Gratitude is the killer of envy. For me, my dog cuddling with me, I'm so thankful for him and the love that he gives me. And so if we think of those small things, it could be talking to a neighbor, saying hi to a stranger on the street, or being happy that, it's sunny out. So gratitude is the killer of envy. And you don't necessarily need to roll out a yoga mat or burn any incense to practice gratitude, just having an open mindset. And we know that human connections improve our quality of life. They can boost our mental health, and they can help you live longer. And then I also decrease the risk of suicide. A lot of mental health concerns during the pandemic, while we were forced to be indoors and not see people face to face. I feel a little bit more isolated. We felt, for the most part, I know a lot of people that felt, they miss those human connections. And, we know that people who greet strangers, or at least say hello, or, what's in your coffee cup? People who greet strangers at least once a week are 3 times likely to be happier than others. And when compared to those that don't. So something to keep in mind, just small gestures. Walking down the street and saying good morning can make a difference. And that leads us into JOMO, not FOMO. So JOMO is the joy of missing out, and FOMO is the fear of missing out. So we want to be okay with just not doing something, or not being online, or not going to that party. And how do we practice the joy of missing out? We do that by practicing mindfulness. And mindfulness is deliberately paying attention in the present moment. It could be, I talked earlier, you could be meditating, and you don't necessarily even, you could go for a run. Some people find that helps with their mindfulness because they're focused and they can think better. Or it could be just as simple as when you're eating your food, not, looking at your computer screen or looking at your phone, of just really enjoying, the meal that's in front of you. And then that leads us into savoring. So appreciating what is in front of you right now rather than what you don't have, appreciating, the friends that you're chatting with face to face. And here's an example of being mindful and savoring the moment. So if you've ever been to a concert before, you'll notice that a lot of people have their phone out, but are they really enjoying the moment? So everybody's here at a world premiere. So guess who's enjoying the moment? There's no phone. And I can tell you, a concert through my eyes looks so much better than through the lens of my camera, or through the lens of the camera on my phone. Generally what I do to try to be mindful and enjoy the moment is when I do go to a concert, I will pick my favorite song that I know was probably going to be on the playlist, and I will record 1 minute and just 1 minute of the song, and that's it. And I will pay attention to the rest of the concert, because the reality is I used to do that, but do I go back and look at those? No, I just rather enjoy the concert. So a recap. So what can we do to build our happiness? We can go on a digital diet. Try to minimize our screen time to, under 2 hours, or focus on activities that make us feel good, feel lifted up. We can balance screen time activities with other activities. So maybe, if some kids are gamers, maybe you set a time limit. I'm going to set a timer for an hour, and when that's done, I'm going to stop playing a game, or, rotate back and forth. Like I'll play games for an hour, then I'll read a book for an hour. So just kind of breaking it up. And then use social media to feel better, not anxious. When we're constantly scrolling, that's kind of, we're on that hamster wheel, and it's really hard to get off of. And, be aware of what social comparisons you let in, and what's in the media. Instagram, for example, for young women, it must be very difficult to look through, because everybody on there is a model, posting racy pictures. Everyone seems to have like the best makeup. And it does weigh on people's mental health. And then practice JOMO and gratitude. I'm going to play you another video called the 24-Hour Tech-Free Challenge. Give me a second here. And this would be a good resource as well to share with your teens.
Hey guys. The challenge is for you guys to spend 24 hours without your phones.
Okay.
You're gonna give me your phones. We're gonna seal it in a bag. You can't log into the internet on another device.
Okay, so I can ask to my parents or friends to check something on it? No?
No.
Oh my god. Je m'appelle Camille, j'ai 14 ans.
My name is Raquel. I am 16 years old.
My name is Sasha, I'm 16.
Mes applications préférées sont
Netflix, Instagram,
et YouTube.
Who has a landline at home?
What's a landline? My name is Julian.
Je m'appelle Romane, j'ai 15 ans.
My name is Shanna. I'm 16 years old.
My favorite apps are probably Netflix and Instagram, you know, the basics.
La partie la plus difficile pour moi, je pense, ça serait de ne pas écouter mes émissions avant de dormir. Alors, à la place, je vais lire des livres.
Hi. Welcome back. How do you feel?
If I had to say one word, I'd say surprised. It's relaxing. Take a break from notifications or just the buzz or the ding, you know, the notifications.
J'ai remarqué, les gens étaient vraiment scotchés sur leur téléphone.
I felt different because when I watch the other person being on their phones, I felt myself apart from them. I realized that it was a good detox.
Let me first ask you, how many hours a day do you think you use your phone?
Avec l'application sur le cellulaire, j'ai déjà regardé et c'est 4 heures.
Once you get past the 2-hour mark, 3-hour mark, 4-hour mark, teenagers are feeling more anxious, they're feeling more depressed, they're feeling lonely.
When you spend more than 2 hours, you just get caught up in this fake world. You know, they Photoshop their body or they're trying to show off something.
So just the experience, it's seeing these things puts you in a certain state of mind, right? You're comparing yourself maybe. There are some darker aspects of this whole cell phone experience. What do you guys make of that?
Toutes les choses méchantes qu'on peut voir sur les réseaux sociaux. Tu sais, j'ai déjà mis mon opinion. Je me suis fait blaster, mais comme pas possible. Et ça fait mal, tu sais.
I wouldn't be surprised that type of bullying would happen more than actual in-life bullying because you just feel more secure, like behind your screen.
There's also a lot of upside, right?
Yeah, one of my best friends now is a random guy that I found on a video game. I just realized that he's in my school, and yeah, now we're best friends, and yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, I have some family in Colombia and Haiti, so it's fun to talk to them.
I follow hundreds of actors, photographers, or artists, and if anything, I gain creativity or inspiration from their work.
Thank you guys for getting involved here. I'm really impressed with you guys. Now is the time to please take out your bag.
Oh my god, so much notification.
Ce que j'ai appris, c'est si j'écoute de la musique, je suis pas obligé de regarder des réseaux sociaux en même temps. Genre, je peux juste fermer mon écran, apprécier la musique, puis regarder dehors. L'utiliser, mais moins qu'avant.
Ça va prouver à ces adultes que les adolescents n'est pas si accro au téléphone puis qu'on est capable de se déconnecter un petit peu.
Great. So that wraps up the video. Just kind of a reminder of some of the things that we talked about today. Just go back here. You know, it could be something that you do. You could have a challenge with your family members, or perhaps you pick a day where no one uses their devices. You know, I've gotten into the habit of when I go on vacation from work, I delete my work email off my phone altogether, and my Gmail, so that I'm not, looking at my email when I should be actually enjoying myself. And it's a habit that I've gotten into. And, when you add your email back on, you can see how it makes us feel and can make us feel stressed out sometimes when you don't have it for like a week and then you open up your mailbox. These are the gentle stresses that we're carrying with us on a regular basis. Most recently, before the pandemic was a global pandemic, I was actually in Cuba for 2 weeks, and I didn't have any email or communication. I told my husband only to call me if it was important. I was traveling with my daughter, my brother, and friends. And, it was only the day before that I checked my email just to confirm flight and other things and prep for work on Monday. And you can imagine my face. I'm like, NFL is canceled, NHL, like all these different sports teams. There's an email from my director saying don't come into work. And so it is a good practice to get into. And I encourage you as well, if you can, to not look at social media or email, etc., when you should be taking the time off to focus on yourself and recharge. You can visit TELUS.com/wise. We do have a quiz. How healthy is your relationship with technology? It is mobile friendly as well. We have a tip sheet, so dealing with digital stress. And then we have an activity to check your screen time, but a lot of devices, as I know at least iOS, Apple devices, you can actually get screen time reports. You can actually see how many times you pick up your device. What app do you use the most? So you can gather some insights there, and that's more helpful when you're trying to stick to a certain budget of time. Other things that you can do is you can check out happiness resources from Dr. Laurie Santos. There is Yale Science of Wellbeing course that is available on Coursera, offered free of charge. But Lori also has the Happiness Lab podcast. By reading her or listening to her early series, it will sum up what the Science of Wellbeing course is about. But you might like to read, or if you prefer to listen, the Happiness Lab, you'll get the same types of learnings. And another really good video to share with teens would be the Happiness Homeroom. You can find it on YouTube. So Dr. Laurie Santos is looking at introducing her course to a younger audience. So it kind of touches on that. And, it's interesting, people that are happy when they're 16 are more likely to make more money and be happier as adults. So really getting kids to, think about their mental health and how technology impacts that, because the happier we are, other parts of our life are a little bit more fulfilling. There's so many stressed out students nowadays, especially when they go off to college or university, that they're just always online or doing homework. They stress out, and then they might just hide in their room and watch Netflix for the weekend. And we need to change that mindset. We need to have face-to-face conversations, see people in person, put that device down, not compare ourselves. And, my best advice would be for youth, if it doesn't make you feel good, then don't use the app. Or, if you're seeing images from someone that make you feel down about yourself, maybe you don't follow that person. So kind of protecting yourself, your mental health, and your bubble. At this point of the time, I'll open it up and see if there's any questions from the group. You can take yourself off mute, or you can put it in the chat, totally up to you. And it might seem counterintuitive, but one app that I use is the Calm app. And I use it when I start to feel stressed or I've got a lot of email. I will listen to, there's music for focus, there's meditation, there's sleep stories if you have trouble falling asleep. I've never heard a full story. I fall asleep in like 5 minutes. It's actually soothing for your pets as well. So I got into the habit of listening to it to make my dog chill out when I'm hosting virtual workshops. And I put on focus or a playlist called Morning Coffee. And everybody's just chill. So definitely, if you, I would recommend the app if you have anybody, or if you are an anxious person or your teens, etc. It is quite useful. Great. Well, thanks everyone for coming today. I hope you have a great day, and hope you stick around and check out the conference tomorrow. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.